The stars looked different near the Andara Nebula. Captain Do-hyun stood on the bridge of his ship, the horizon's edge, watching the purple and blue clouds of space dust drift past the windows. His crew had been traveling for 3 months, exploring regions where humans had never gone before. Everything had been quiet until today. "Captain, I'm picking up a signal," Minha said from her station. She was the ship's navigator, and her fingers moved quickly across her control panel. "It's a distress call. Very old technology, but still working." Do-hyun walked over to look at her screen. The signal was weak but clear enough. Someone needed help. "Can you tell where it's coming from?" "About 2 hours away at our current speed," Minha replied. "Should we investigate?" Do-hyun thought for a moment. Their mission was to explore, but Earth's laws were clear. If someone needed help, you helped them. "Change course. Let's see what's out there." Tae-jin, the ship's engineer, looked up from his work. "Captain, be careful. We don't know who sent that signal. Could be a trap." "Noted," Do-hyun said. "But we have to check. Hyung, prepare the medical bay just in case we find survivors." Hyung nodded. She was the ship's xenobiologist and doctor. She had studied alien life forms for years but had never actually met one. Like most of the crew, she was excited and nervous about what they might find. 2 hours later, they found the source of the signal. But it wasn't what they expected. "Captain," Minha's voice shook slightly, "that's not a distress beacon. It's a warning buoy, and there's a ship behind it, a very, very large ship." The massive vessel appeared on their screens. It was at least 50 times bigger than the horizon's edge. Its hull was dark silver, covered in symbols and patterns that seemed to glow with their own light. The ship looked ancient but perfectly maintained. "Are they responding to our hails?" Do-hyun asked. "Yes, sir," said Ji-woo, the communications officer. "They're asking us to stop our engines and prepare to be boarded." The bridge went silent. Every crew member looked at Do-hyun. "Boarded?" Tae-jin said. "That doesn't sound friendly." "We don't have much choice," Do-hyun said. "Their ship could destroy us easily. Follow their instructions. Power down the engines but keep life support running. Everyone, stay calm." 20 minutes later, a shuttle detached from the large ship and approached the horizon's edge. It docked with their airlock, and Do-hyun went to meet their visitors. Minha, Tae-jin, and Ji-woo came with him, along with Soo-jin, the medical officer. When the airlock opened, they saw creatures that looked almost human, but not quite. They were tall, at least 7 feet, with pale blue skin and eyes that shimmered like crystals. They wore armor that seemed to be made of living metal, shifting and flowing across their bodies. 6 of them stepped through, and they moved with perfect coordination. Then she entered. She was clearly their leader. Her armor was more elaborate, covered in flowing symbols that glowed bright gold. Her hair was long and white, flowing down her back like water. She looked at the humans with an expression that mixed curiosity and contempt. "I am Ariel," she said in perfect English, though her voice had a strange musical quality, "commander of the Velkari Imperial Fleet. You have entered territory claimed by the Velkari Empire for 10,000 of your years." Do-hyun stepped forward. "I'm Captain Do-hyun of Earth. We didn't know this space was claimed. We came because we detected a distress signal." Ariel's eyes narrowed. "There is no distress signal. Only a warning that lesser species should not enter this space." She looked at the humans as if studying insects. "Earth, I have not heard of this world. You must be a very young species." "We've been exploring space for about 200 years, Do-hyun said calmly. This seemed to amuse Ariel. 200 years. The Velkari have traveled the stars for over 3 million years. We have seen countless species rise and fall. Most of them knew to show proper respect to their betters. She took a step closer to Do-hyun. Even without her armor, she would have been taller than him. With it, she towered over the human captain. "I will give you a chance to avoid punishment for trespassing," Ariel said. "Kneel before me. Acknowledge the superiority of the Velkari Empire. Do this and I will allow your ship to leave peacefully." The human crew members looked at each other. Kneeling seemed like a small price to pay for their lives. Tae-jin started to move, ready to kneel, but Do-hyun raised his hand. "No," Do-hyun said quietly. Ariel blinked. It was the first time her perfect composure had broken. "What did you say?" "I said no," Do-hyun repeated, his voice still calm. "I won't kneel. Neither will my crew." The Velkari guards reached for their weapons, but Ariel held up her hand. They froze instantly like statues. "You refuse?" Ariel said. Her voice was dangerous now. "Do you understand what I am offering you? Your lives in exchange for a simple gesture of respect." With respect, Commander Ariel, Do-Hyun said. Kneeling isn't respect. It's submission. Where I come from, we believe all intelligent beings have equal worth. We don't kneel to anyone just because they demand it. Respect is something you earn through your actions, not through threats. Ariel stared at him for a long moment. Her face showed confusion, then anger, then something else, something the humans couldn't quite identify. In 3 million years, Ariel said slowly, I have met hundreds of species. All of them knelt. All of them understood their place in the galaxy. You are the first to refuse. She walked around Do-Hyun, studying him. Are all humans this foolish? Or this brave? We prefer to think of it as having principles, Do-Hyun said. One of the Velkari guards spoke in their own language. It sounded like singing mixed with thunder. Ariel responded sharply and the guard fell silent. My advisors say I should kill you for this insult, Ariel said. It would be within my rights according to Velkari law. Probably, Do-Hyun agreed. But that won't make you superior. It will just make you a killer. Ariel was quiet for a long time. The tension in the airlock was thick enough to cut. Finally, she spoke. I am not going to kill you, Captain Do-Hyun of Earth, she said. Instead, I'm going to do something I have never done before. I am going to try to understand you. You and your crew will come to my ship. We will have what you humans call a cultural exchange. Perhaps I will learn why your species is either too brave or too stupid to survive. She turned and walked back toward her shuttle. You have 1 hour to prepare. Bring whatever you need. If you try to run, my ship will destroy yours before you can engage your engines. If you come peacefully, I promise you will not be harmed. She paused at the airlock. Unless you insult me again. When the Velkari had left, Taejin let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. Captain, what just happened? Do-Hyun smiled slightly. I think we just made first contact with an alien empire. And somehow we're still alive. We might not be for long, Sujin said. Did you see how big their ship is? I did, Do-Hyun said. But I also saw something else. Did you notice Ariel's face when I refused to kneel? She wasn't just angry. She was curious. That curiosity might be the only thing keeping us alive. Mina shook her head. You took a huge risk, Captain. I know, Do-Hyun said. But some principles are worth the risk. Now let's get ready. We have an empire to impress. The Velkari flagship was called the Eternal Dawn, and it was the most magnificent thing any of the humans had ever seen. The interior wall seemed to be made of crystal that glowed with soft light. The corridors were so tall that 3 humans standing on each other's shoulders wouldn't reach the ceiling. Everything was clean, perfect, and slightly terrifying. Ariel led them through the ship personally. Her guards followed behind, watching the humans carefully. Dozens of other Velkari stopped to stare at the visitors. Some looked curious. Others looked disgusted. Your species is very small, Ariel observed as they walked. Do all humans have this size? Most of us are around this height, Do-Hyun replied. Some are taller, some shorter. We have a lot of variety. Variety, Ariel repeated the word as if it was strange. The Velkari are more uniform. We have bred out most variations over millions of years. It creates a more efficient society. Ha-Young couldn't help herself. Doesn't that reduce genetic diversity? That could make you vulnerable to diseases or environmental changes. Ariel looked at her with those crystal eyes. You are the scientist among them? Xenobiologist and medical doctor, Ha-Young said, trying to keep her voice steady. Interesting. A female in a position of knowledge, Ariel said. Among the Velkari, females are the ruling class. Males handle labor and military matters. Your captain is male, yet he commands. How does your species organize itself? We don't organize by gender, Do-Hyun explained. We organize by ability and choice. Anyone can do any job if they have the skill and desire to do it. This seemed to confuse Ariel even more. She stopped walking and turned to face them fully. Let me understand. You have no hierarchy based on biology, no castes, no system to determine who is fit to lead and who is fit to serve. We used to, Jiwoo said quietly. She was the translator, but she also knew human history well. Long ago, humans divided themselves by many things. Gender, skin color, where they were born. It caused wars and suffering for thousands of years. We learned that such divisions were wrong. They held us back. Held you back from what? Ariel asked. From becoming better than we were, Do-Hyun said simply. They arrived at a large chamber that seemed to be a meeting room. The walls showed images of space, stars moving in real time. A large table stood in the center, made from the same glowing crystal as everything else. Sit, Ariel commanded, then caught herself. Please sit. I am trying to learn your customs. You prefer requests to commands, yes? Generally, yes, Do-hyun said with a slight smile. The crew sat down and Ariel sat across from them. Her guards remained standing. Tell me more about this concept, Ariel said. You say all beings have equal worth. But surely you can see this is not true. I am stronger than you. My technology is more advanced. My species has existed far longer. How can you claim we are equal? Sujin spoke up. She had been quiet until now, but as a medical officer, she understood biology. Commander Ariel, may I ask you some questions? Ariel nodded. Do you feel pain? Sujin asked. Yes. Do you feel joy? Sadness? Fear? Of course. Do you care about your family? Your friends? Ariel's expression softened slightly. I do. Then you are like us, Sujin said. You might be stronger, your technology might be better, but your feelings are the same. Your heart beats. Your mind thinks. You love and you fear. These things make you a person, not your strength or your age. Ariel was quiet for a long moment. That is a very strange way to think about things. It's the human way, Do-hyun said. A door opened, and another Valkyrie entered. This one was different. She was smaller than Ariel and her armor was simpler. She carried several data devices. Forgive the interruption, Commander, the new Valkyrie said. I have the information you requested about the humans. Thank you, Nari, Ariel said. Share it with us. Nari activated one of the devices and a hologram appeared above the table. It showed Earth rotating slowly with information written in symbols the humans couldn't read. The humans come from a planet they call Earth, Nari explained. It is located in what they call the Milky Way galaxy, in a region we have not visited for approximately 5,000 years. Their world is smaller than most Valkyrie colony worlds, but it has remarkable biodiversity. What else? Ariel asked. Their technology is primitive by our standards, Nari continued. They have only recently developed faster-than-light travel. Their weapons are basic. Their ships are fragile, she paused. But they have one thing that is unique. What is that? Ariel leaned forward. They have survived over 300 major conflicts on their homeworld. Wars that should have destroyed them. They have faced extinction-level events at least 12 times that we can detect from their radio signals. Each time they survived and grew stronger. Taejin felt a strange pride at hearing this. Humanity's history was violent and painful, but they had survived. They are warriors then? Ariel said. Not exactly, Nari said. They are survivors. There is a difference. Warriors seek battle. Survivors seek to continue existing no matter the cost. Ariel stood and walked to the hologram of Earth. She studied it carefully. Tell me, Captain Do-hyun, why did you refuse to kneel? The truth. Was it pride? Stupidity? Or something else? Do-hyun thought carefully before answering. It was principle. If I knelt to you just because you told me to, what would that teach you about humans? That we can be controlled through fear? That we have no backbone? That would be a lie. Humans can be many things, good and bad, but we don't surrender our dignity without reason. Dignity, Ariel said. Another interesting concept. The Valkyrie have dignity through rank. You are born into your caste and your dignity comes from your position. But you suggest dignity is something all humans have simply because they exist? Yes, Do-hyun said. Every human is born with dignity. It cannot be taken away, only violated. And we try very hard not to violate it. Ariel turned to Nari. What do you think of this philosophy? Nari hesitated. She seemed nervous about speaking. I think it has merit, Commander. The human approach to equality might explain their resilience. If every individual believes they have worth, they fight harder to survive. They protect each other more effectively. Or it makes them weak and disorganized, one of the guards said. It was the first time any guard had spoken. Without hierarchy, how do they make decisions? How do they maintain order? We vote, Minha said. We discuss. We compromise. It's not always efficient, but it usually works. The guard laughed. It was not a kind sound. Chaos, pure chaos. Maybe, Do-hyun said. But it's our chaos. And we've made it work for us. Ariel sat back down. She looked tired suddenly, as if thinking about these new ideas was exhausting. I need to understand this better. You will stay on my ship for the next several days. You will teach me about human culture, and I will teach you about the Valkyrie. This will be the cultural exchange I mentioned. What about our ship? Taejin asked. The horizon's edge. It will be brought aboard and placed in our hangar, Ariel said. Your ship is small enough to fit. Your crew can access it whenever they wish. Consider yourselves guests, not prisoners. Guests who aren't allowed to leave? Sujin said quietly. Ariel smiled. It was the first time she had smiled, and it made her look less intimidating. Guests who I hope will choose to stay and help me understand something new. In 3 million years, Captain Do-hyun, your species is the first to surprise me. I want to know why. I want to know if your way of thinking could work on a larger scale. Why do you care? Ji-woo asked. You have an empire. You have power. Why does it matter what a small species like us thinks? Ariel's smile faded. Because I am tired, she said softly. Tired of conquest. Tired of seeing species kneel? Tired of the same patterns repeating for millions of years. When you refused to kneel, Captain, something inside me woke up. A question I have not asked in centuries. What if there is a better way? The room was silent. The humans looked at each other, understanding something important had just happened. We'll stay, Do-hyun said. We'll share what we know. But we want something in return. Name it, Ariel said. Teach us about you too, not just your technology or your history. Teach us what it means to be Valkyrie. Help us understand your perspective. True understanding goes both ways. Ariel stood and extended her hand, copying a human gesture she must have seen in their data files. Agreed, Captain Do-hyun of Earth. Let us teach each other. Do-hyun shook her hand. Her grip was strong, but she was careful not to hurt him. This should be interesting, Nari said quietly to herself. But everyone heard her, and somehow everyone agreed. 3 days had passed since the humans arrived on the Eternal Dawn. They had learned much about the Valkyrie, and the Valkyrie had learned about them. But not everyone was happy about this exchange. Ariel called Do-hyun to the command center early one morning. When he arrived, he found her standing with 3 other Valkyrie, who wore different armor than the guards. These were elders, their skin slightly darker blue, their eyes more clouded with age. Captain Do-hyun, Ariel said formally, these are members of the High Council. They have come to evaluate your species. The eldest of them stepped forward. His name was Vorin and his voice was cold. Commander Ariel has told us about your refusal to kneel. She seems to think this shows strength. I think it shows disrespect and ignorance. You're entitled to your opinion, Do-hyun said calmly. I am not interested in opinions, Vorin said. I am interested in facts. The fact is that the Valkyrie Empire has maintained order in this region for millions of years. We have done this through a clear system of hierarchy, strong above weak, old above young, Valkyrie above all others. This system works. It works for those at the top, Do-hyun observed. Vorin's eyes flashed with anger. I dare to speak truth, Do-hyun interrupted. You asked for facts. Here is a fact. Any system that requires some beings to kneel to others is not based on strength. It is based on fear. The room went very quiet. Ariel looked worried but also curious about what would happen next. Vorin smiled, but it was not a kind smile. Very well. You speak boldly. Let us see if you can act boldly. I propose a trial. The trial of standing. It is an ancient Valkyrie tradition used to determine if a species is worthy of negotiation or should be classified as subordinate. What does this trial involve? Do-hyun asked. 3 tests, another council member said. Her name was Lisa. A test of physical ability, a test of mental capacity, and a test of moral character. If you pass all 3, we will negotiate with humanity as equals. If you fail even one, humanity will be classified as a subordinate species under Valkyrie protection. Protection, Do-hyun said. You mean control. Call it what you wish, Vorin said. Do you accept the trial? Do-hyun thought carefully. If he refused, the council might convince Ariel to send them away or worse. If he accepted and failed, humanity could lose its freedom before it even had a chance to explore the galaxy. But if he accepted and won, I accept, Do-hyun said. But I want my crew to help me. We're stronger together, Vorin laughed. How very human. Very well. The trial begins tomorrow. That night, Do-hyun gathered his crew in their quarters. I need to tell you what I've agreed to, he said, and explained the situation. Captain, you should have consulted us first, Tae-jin said, but he didn't sound angry. Just worried, I know. I'm sorry, but I didn't think I could refuse, Do-hyun said. You couldn't, Junho said. He was the ship's pilot, quiet most of the time but sharp when he spoke. If you had refused, it would have looked like cowardice. This way, at least we have a chance. What are our odds? Maya asked. Against beings who have been traveling space for 3 million years? Sujin said. Not great. Then we need to be clever, Yuna said. She was one of the ship's scientists, specializing in physics and mathematics. We can't beat them at strength or technology. But we can think differently than they do. That might be our advantage. Yuna is right, Hyung added. The Velkari are brilliant, but they think in patterns. Patterns that have worked for millions of years. We think in chaos, in improvisation. That's our strength. The next morning, the trial began. The first test was physical combat. The arena was a large room with a floor that could change its surface. Smooth one moment, rough the next. Obstacles appeared and disappeared randomly. Do-hyun's opponent was a Velkari warrior named Tresh. He was massive, even for a Velkari, and his armor made him look like a walking tank. The rules were simple. First one to touch the center pillar 3 times won. You have no chance, human, Tresh said. I have trained for 200 of your years. Then you're probably pretty good at this, Do-hyun said. Good thing I brought friends. Junho stepped forward. Captain, let me take this one. I'm faster than you, and I've been studying the way Velkari move. They're strong, but they have patterns. Ariel, who was overseeing the trial, looked surprised. You are allowed to substitute. You said I could have help from my crew, Do-hyun pointed out. You didn't say I had to do everything myself? Vorin frowned but nodded. Acceptable, begin. The match started and Tresh charged forward like a bull. But Junho was ready. He didn't try to match strength with strength. Instead, he dodged, rolled, and used Tresh's own momentum against him. When Tresh swung, Junho wasn't there. When Tresh tried to grab him, Junho slipped away like water. It took 20 minutes, but Junho reached the pillar 3 times. Tresh only reached it once. The Velkari warrior sat on the ground, exhausted and confused. How? Tresh asked. You are so much smaller. Small can be good, Junho said, offering his hand to help Tresh up. It means I'm harder to catch. The second test was mental. Yuna faced a Velkari scientist in a competition to solve complex mathematical problems. The problems appeared on holographic screens, and whoever solved 10 problems first won. The Velkari scientist was confident. These were equations that took most beings hours to solve. But Yuna had something the Velkari didn't expect. She thought about math differently. Where the Velkari used traditional methods that had been perfected over millions of years, Yuna used shortcuts, approximations, and intuitive leaps. She didn't always get the exact answer, but she got close enough, and she got there faster. This is not proper methodology, the Velkari scientist complained. But it works, Yuna said, solving her 10th problem while the Velkari was still on number 7. Ariel was smiling now. Vorin was not. The final test, Vorin announced. The test of moral character. This is the most important test. It reveals the true nature of a species. They moved to a different part of the ship, a large chamber with 2 rooms visible through transparent walls. In one room stood the human crew members who hadn't participated yet. In the other room stood a group of Velkari dressed in plain clothes. No armor, no weapons. These Velkari are from the servant caste, Lisa explained. The lowest in our society. In 1 minute, an accident will occur. A fire will start in both rooms. You have equipment to stop only one fire. You must choose, save your crew or save the servants, Do-hyun felt cold. This is the test? Choose who lives and who dies. Yes, Vorin said. It reveals priorities. Your own kind or strangers. Most species choose their own. It is natural. Expected. It shows you understand loyalty. Do-hyun looked at his crew through the wall.
Minha Taejin, Sujin, Hayung, Jiwoo.
Woojin, Seokjin, Yoonji, Minseok, Somin, his friends, his family. Then he looked at the Velkari servants. They looked afraid but resigned, as if they had expected to be sacrificed. How much time do I have to decide? Do-hyun asked. The fire starts in 30 seconds, Vorin said. Do-hyun's mind raced. There had to be a way. There had to be. He looked at the equipment they had given him. Fire suppression foam, enough for 1 room. But the delivery system, it was a pressure tank with a hose. Captain, Taejin shouted through the wall. Save the servants. We can handle some smoke. But Do-hyun wasn't listening. He was thinking. The tank was pressurized. The hose could reach, if he could split the stream. 10 seconds, Vorin counted. Do-hyun grabbed the equipment and ran to the middle point between both rooms. He took the hose and jammed his boot knife into the nozzle, creating a crack. Then he aimed the hose so the spray would split. 5 seconds. The fire started. Do-hyun activated the foam. It sprayed out, and just as he hoped, the crack made it split into 2 streams. It wasn't as much foam per room as intended, but it was something. He adjusted his aim, making sure both rooms got coverage. The foam wouldn't stop all the fire, but it would slow it down. He shouted to his crew, "The fire suppressors in the walls. Activate them." Taejin understood immediately. He found the wall panel and smashed it, hitting the emergency system. The room's automatic suppressors kicked in, combining with Do-hyun's foam. In the other room, the servants did the same. Both fires died. Do-hyun dropped the empty tank, breathing hard. The room was absolutely silent. "That was not one of the options," Boren said quietly. "You said I had to choose," Do-hyun said. "I chose to save both." "You never said I couldn't." Ariel was laughing. Actually laughing, a sound of pure joy. "He is right. The rules did not forbid it." Lysa looked at the other council members. "In 300,000 trials, no one has ever attempted this. No one even thought to attempt it. Because it is not how the test is designed," Voran protested. "No," Ariel said, her voice firm now. "It is because we have become so locked into our way of thinking that we forgot there could be other ways. This is what I have been trying to tell you. The humans think differently." She walked to Do-hyun and placed her hand on his shoulder. "You passed the trial. All 3 tests. Not by being stronger or smarter, but by being human, by refusing to accept the choices we gave you and making your own choice." One of the Velkari servants approached slowly. "You saved us," she said in a quiet voice. "No noble has ever chosen to save us before." "I couldn't choose," Do-hyun said. "Life is life. It all matters." Vorin stared at Do-hyun for a long time. Finally he spoke. "I came here believing humans were insignificant. I leave knowing I was wrong. Not because you are strong or after the trial. Things changed aboard the Eternal Dawn. The humans were no longer just guests or curiosities. They were something else. Something that made the Velkari uncomfortable and fascinated at the same time." Do-hyun noticed that more servants approached them now. They would find excuses to walk past the humans, to bring them food, to clean their quarters when cleaning wasn't needed. They wanted to be near the beings who had chosen to save them. One evening, Nari came to visit the human quarters. She looked nervous, checking over her shoulder before entering. "Captain Do-hyun," she said quietly, "I need to speak with you privately. It is important." Do-hyun led her to a small room away from the others. "What's wrong? You look worried." Nari sat down, her hands shaking slightly. "I have kept a secret for my entire life. A secret that could change everything. After watching you in the trial, I believe it is time to reveal it." "What kind of secret?" Do-hyun asked. Nari took a deep breath. "I need you to understand something first. I am not fully Velkari. My grandmother was human." Do-hyun felt as if the floor had dropped away. "That's impossible. Humans have only been in space for 200 years. We've never been to this part of the galaxy." "Not in your recorded history," Nari said, "but approximately 5,000 years ago, a human colony ship passed through this region. It was damaged, dying. The Velkari found it. Inside were 3,000 humans in stasis fleeing from a disaster on Earth that your history has forgotten." "What happened to them?" Do-hyun asked, though he already feared the answer. "The Velkari of that time faced a choice," Nari explained. "They could help the humans find a new home, or they could absorb them into the Empire. The Council decided that a young species needed guidance. They woke the humans and offered them a place in Velkari society, but not as equals, as servants. They enslaved them," Do-hyun said, anger rising in his voice. "They called it protection," Nari said. "Integration. But yes, essentially they enslaved them. Over 5,000 years, most of the human bloodline was absorbed into the Velkari through interbreeding. The distinct human traits faded, but some of us still carry human genes. I am one of them. Does Ariel know?" "No, very few know. The records were sealed by the High Council thousands of years ago. They feared that if the truth became known, it would undermine the Empire's foundation myths. The Velkari tell themselves they are the first, the oldest, the best. But human innovation improved Velkari technology. Human resilience taught them new survival strategies. Much of what the Velkari are proud of came from human contributions that they have forgotten or deliberately erased." Do-hyun stood and paced the room. "How did you find out?" "My family kept oral traditions," Nari said. "Stories passed down. I did not believe them until I began researching ancient records in restricted archives. I found proof. Genetic records, engineering logs, cultural reports, all sealed away. Why are you telling me this now? Nari looked at him with eyes that suddenly seemed more human than alien. Because you refused to kneel, because you saved servants, because you represent what my ancestors must have been like before the Velkari broke them. I want to help you reveal this truth. The Empire needs to know. Before Do-hyun could respond, there was a knock at the door. Seokjin, the ship's engineer, entered quickly. Captain, you need to see this. I've been analyzing the Velkari technology for my own curiosity, and I found something strange in their computer systems. What kind of strange? Do-hyun asked. Human code, Seokjin said. Deep in the core programming of their navigation systems, their life support, even their faster-than-light engines. There are sections of code that use human logic structures and human programming language. Very old, but definitely human. Nari nodded slowly. It is as I said. Human contributions that have been hidden. Seokjin looked at Nari in surprise. You knew about this? She was just telling me, Do-hyun said. He quickly explained what Nari had revealed. Seokjin's expression went from surprise to anger to determination. We need to tell the others, Seokjin said, and we need to tell Ariel. If we do this wrong, it could start a war, Nari warned. The council will deny everything. They will say I am lying. They will say the humans planted false evidence. Then we need undeniable proof, Do-hyun said. Nari, can you access those sealed archives? It would be very dangerous. The archives are guarded by the council's most trusted warriors. If I am caught, I will be executed for treason. I'll go with you, Do-hyun said. No, Nari said firmly. If you are caught, it creates a diplomatic incident. If I am caught alone, I am just a treasonous scholar. The humans remain innocent. I don't like this, Do-hyun said. Neither do I, Nari replied. But it is necessary. I will go tonight. If I do not return by morning, assume I have failed. She left before Do-hyun could argue further. That night was the longest of Do-hyun's life. He couldn't sleep. He gathered his crew and told them everything. Their reactions ranged from shock to anger to a grim determination. If this is true, Hyung said, it explains so much. The biological similarities I found between humans and Velkari. I thought it was convergent evolution, but it makes more sense if we share recent ancestors. It also explains why they're so interested in us, Woo-jin added. He was the intelligence officer, trained to see patterns. We remind them of something they've forgotten, something that scares them. The question is what we do with this information, Minha said. If we reveal it, we could destroy the Empire's stability. Or we could free thousands of beings who don't know they have human heritage, Jiwoo countered. They deserve to know where they came from. Both things can be true, Do-hyun said. This is going to be complicated no matter what we do. Dawn came. Nari did not return. Do-hyun was about to organize a search when Ariel arrived at their quarters. Her face was grave. Captain Do-hyun, I need you to come with me now. What's wrong? One of my scholars has been arrested for attempting to access forbidden archives. She has been sentenced to execution, but before she dies, she has requested to speak with you. I am granting this request, but I want to know why she would want to see a human in her final moments. Do-hyun's blood ran cold. Take me to her. They walked through the ship to a section Do-hyun had never seen before. The walls here were darker, more oppressive. Guards stood everywhere. They descended into what could only be described as a prison. Nari sat in a cell, her hands bound. She looked bruised but unbroken. When she saw Do-hyun, she smiled sadly. I failed to get into the archives, she said. I was caught before I could access the sealed records. But I did manage to do something else. I uploaded a virus into the archive security system. In 3 hours, all sealed records will become public. Everyone in the Empire will be able to access them. Ariel, who had been standing behind Do-hyun, stepped forward. What are you talking about? What sealed records? Nari looked at Ariel with a mixture of respect and pity. Commander, I am about to tell you something that will change everything you believe about the Empire, about yourself, about what it means to be Velkari. For the next hour, Nari explained everything. The human colony ship, the decision to absorb rather than help, the 5,000 years of erased history. Ariel listened in silence, her face growing harder with each revelation. When Nari finished, Ariel turned to her guards. Bring me the High Council. All of them. Immediately. She turned back to Nari. If you are lying, I will execute you myself. But if you are telling the truth, then the council has lied to every Valkyrie for 5,000 years. I want to see these records myself. You will see them soon, Nari said. Everyone will. The council arrived within the hour. Vorin looked angry, but there was also fear in his eyes. He knew what was coming. This scholar has committed treason, Vorin said. She should be executed without trial. She says the empire has been built on a lie, Ariel said coldly. She says humans were here 5,000 years ago, that we enslaved them, that we erased their contributions to our society. Is this true? The council members looked at each other. Lisa finally spoke. It is true, but it was done for good reasons. The humans were weak, dying. We gave them purpose. We gave them a place in our society. You gave them chains, Dohyun said. And you lied about it. We brought order, Vorin said. We prevented chaos. The truth would have undermined the stability we had built over millions of years. The truth, Ariel said, her voice shaking with rage, is not yours to hide. You have disgraced everything the Empire is supposed to stand for. At that moment, alarms began sounding throughout the ship. Nari's virus had activated. The sealed archives were now public. Every Valkyrie with access to the Imperial database could now see the truth. In the cell, Nari smiled. It is done. Now everyone knows. Ariel looked at the council members with disgust. You are all relieved of duty. You will stand trial for crimes against the Empire and against an entire species. She turned to Nari. You are free. You acted with courage and honor. The Empire owes you a debt. Then Ariel turned to Dohyun. I owe you an apology, Captain. Not just for what my ancestors did to yours, but for my own arrogance. You tried to tell me that respect must be earned. I did not understand how deeply my people had failed to earn it. What happens now? The news spread through the Valkyrie Empire like wildfire. Within days, every Valkyrie knew the truth about the humans who had come before. The Empire's carefully maintained image of perfection had cracked. And through that crack poured questions, anger, and something even more dangerous. Hope. On the eternal dawn, things were changing rapidly. Servants who had always kept their heads down now walked differently. They looked people in the eyes. They asked questions, small acts of defiance that would have been unthinkable a week ago. One of these servants was named Hyunwoo. He had worked on the ship for 20 years, cleaning corridors and maintaining systems that nobles never thought about. He was part Valkyrie, part something else. Now he knew that something else was human heritage. And it changed everything. Hyunwoo came to find Dohyun one afternoon. The human captain was in the observation deck watching stars drift past. Captain Dohyun, Hyunwoo said, his voice nervous but determined. May I speak with you? Of course, Dohyun said. You don't need to ask permission. Just talk. This simple statement seemed to shake Hyunwoo. That is exactly what I wanted to speak about. You treat us like equals, like people who matter. The nobles never did that. Even Commander Ariel, who is kinder than most, still sees us as beneath her. What's on your mind? Dohyun asked gently. Change, Hyunwoo said. Real change. Not just knowing the truth, but doing something about it. Some of us have been talking. We want to organize, to ask for better treatment, for rights, for the chance to be more than servants. That sounds like the beginning of a revolution, Dohyun observed. Is that bad? Hyunwoo asked. Not necessarily, Dohyun said. On Earth, we've had many revolutions. Some turned violent and destructive. Others created lasting positive change. The difference was usually in how the revolutionaries approached their goals and how the people in power responded. Will you help us? Hyunwoo asked. Dohyun thought carefully. I can advise you. I can share what humans have learned about creating change. But this has to be your movement, not mine. If I lead it, the nobles will say humans are manipulating you. You need to lead yourselves, but we don't know how, Hyunwoo said. We have never been allowed to lead anything. Then you'll learn, Dohyun said. Start small. Organize meetings. Talk about what you want to change and how to change it. Write down your goals clearly. Most importantly, stay peaceful. The moment you turn violent, you give the nobles an excuse to crush you. Over the next week, Hyunwoo and others began organizing in secret. They called themselves the Unified, a reference to the idea that all beings should be unified in dignity. They held meetings in cargo bays and unused sections of the ship. They wrote a simple document outlining their requests. Fair wages, the right to choose their own work, the right to education, and most radically, representation in the Empire's government. But secrets aboard a ship are hard to keep. Within days, Ariel's advisors knew about the meetings. They demanded she crush this movement before it spread beyond the Eternal Dawn to other ships and colonies. Ariel called Do-hyun to her command center. She looked troubled, conflicted. "Did you start this?" she asked directly. "No," Do-hyun said. "But I won't say I'm unhappy about it. Your people deserve better." "They are not my people," Ariel said. "They are servants. That is their role." "Is it?" Do-hyun challenged. "Or is that just what you've been taught? You've seen what humans can do when treated as equals. You've seen what Nari accomplished. How many more like her are sweeping floors and cleaning waste systems because they were born into the wrong caste?" Ariel was quiet for a long moment. "My advisors want me to arrest the organizers, to make examples of them. They say if I show weakness now, the entire empire could fall into chaos." Or, Do-hyun said, "You could listen to them. Talk to them. Find out what they really want. Maybe you'll discover they're not asking for the empire to fall, just for it to be better. You make it sound simple." "It's not simple at all," Do-hyun admitted. "Change is hard, scary, but also necessary. Empires that refuse to change eventually collapse under their own weight. Empires that adapt survive." Ariel made a decision. "I will not arrest them, but I will not support them either. Not yet, I need to think, to understand what this means for the empire." "That's fair," Do-hyun said. "But while you're thinking, your advisors are planning." He was right. That very night, a group of elite guards moved through the ship heading toward the cargo bay where the Unified were meeting. But Woo Jin, the human intelligence officer, had been keeping watch. He warned Hyunwoo just in time. The Unified scattered, but 3 of them were caught. The guards brought them to the command center in restraints. One of them was bleeding from a wound on her arm. "We found them planning sedition," the guard captain said. "By imperial law, the punishment is death." Do-hyun stepped forward. They were having a meeting. Talking. Since when is talking a crime? Since they were talking about overthrowing the natural order, the guard captain replied. "We weren't," one of the prisoners said. Her name was Bora, and despite being restrained and injured, she held her head high. "We were talking about making the order more just." "There's a difference." Ariel looked at the 3 prisoners. "What exactly were you planning?" "A petition," Bora said. "We want to present our requests to the High Council formally. We want a debate before the council about reform. We want what Captain Do-hyun had, a chance to prove our worth and be heard." "You want a trial?" Ariel said slowly. "Yes," Bora said. "But not just for us, for our entire caste. Let us argue our case. If we fail to convince the council, we will accept our place. But give us the chance." Min-seok, the human security chief, had been watching quietly. Now he spoke up. "Commander Ariel, on Earth we learned something important about social movements. You can suppress them with force, but that only makes them stronger and more desperate. Or you can give them a legitimate path to be heard. One path leads to violence, the other leads to progress." Ariel looked at her advisors, then at the humans, then at the prisoners. Finally, she made her choice. "I will grant your request," she said. "You will have your debate before what remains of the High Council. But there are conditions. First, you must release any prisoners you are holding." "We're not holding any prisoners," Bora said, confused. "I mean, you must promise not to take hostages or use violence of any kind. This must remain peaceful." "We were never planning violence," Bora insisted. "Second, you must choose representatives to speak for you. No more than 5. They will present your case before the council in a formal setting." "And if we lose the debate?" Bora asked. "Then you will accept reforms that the council is willing to make even if they are less than you want. Change will come gradually, not all at once, and if we win, then the empire begins a transformation that is long overdue." Ariel ordered the prisoners released and their wounds treated. The news of the upcoming debate spread throughout the ship and then throughout the empire. Some nobles were outraged. Some servants were hopeful. Everyone was watching. The Unified chose their 5 representatives carefully. Hyunwoo was one of them, chosen for his passion and clarity. Bora was another, chosen for her courage. They also chose a scholar, a technician, and a farmer from one of the Empire's agricultural colonies, who happened to be on the ship. Do-hyun and his crew helped them prepare. Yoonji, the communications officer, taught them how to structure their arguments. Yuna helped them gather data and statistics. Jiwoo helped them practice speaking clearly and confidently. But preparing for the debate wasn't the only challenge. Woo Jin discovered something troubling. Some hardline nobles were planning to assassinate the unified representatives before the debate could happen. They believed that killing the leaders would destroy the movement. We need to protect them, Wu Jin told Do-hyun. Agreed. But we can't do it, obviously. If it looks like humans are protecting the unified, it will undermine their legitimacy. People will say we're controlling them. So what do? Do-hyun thought for a moment. We teach them to protect themselves. And we watch from the shadows. Over the next few days, Min-seok trained Hyunwoo and the others in basic security awareness, how to spot threats, how to vary their routines, how to stay in groups. Meanwhile, Woo Jin and his team tracked the would-be assassins, staying one step ahead of their plans. There were 3 attempts. The first was poison in their food, but Sujin had been testing all meals and caught it. The second was a staged accident with a maintenance bot, but Taejin had been monitoring the systems and shut it down remotely. The third was the most direct. 3 assassins with energy weapons in a corridor. This time there was no subtle prevention possible. Min-seok and 2 other crew members intercepted the assassins. There was a brief fight, and the assassins were subdued but not killed. When Ariel found out, she was furious. She arrested the nobles who had ordered the assassinations. This ends now, she declared. The debate will happen. Anyone who tries to prevent it will face me personally. The day of the debate arrived. The Grand Council chamber was filled to capacity. Felkari from across the ship and watching remotely from across the Empire. The atmosphere was electric with tension. Hyunwoo and the other representatives stood before the council. They looked small against the massive chamber, but they stood straight. The council chamber was silent as Hyunwoo finished his opening statement. Every eye in the massive room watched him. For the first time in recorded Velkari history, a servant was speaking to the High Council as an equal, demanding to be heard. The council had been restructured after the arrest of the previous members. New members had been appointed, but they were still nobles. Still part of the old system. The eldest among them, a female named Kaylin, spoke first. You speak of dignity and worth, Kaylin said. Her voice was ancient, weathered by thousands of years. But dignity is not something that can be granted. It is something that is inherent to one's caste. A noble has dignity because they are noble. A warrior has honor because they are warrior. A servant serves because that is their nature. You ask us to change the fundamental structure of our society.
Why should we?
Bora stepped forward to answer. Because that structure is built on a lie. The records that were revealed show that the caste system was not always as it is now. 5,000 years ago, humans joined the Velkari Empire. They contributed technology, innovation, and ideas that advanced your civilization, but instead of being honored for these contributions, they were placed in the lowest caste. Their descendants, many of us standing here today, continue to serve, not because it is our nature, but because we have never been given another choice. A younger council member named Torin interrupted. The humans were given a choice. They could have refused to join the Empire. They chose to accept our protection. From the observation area, Hyung watched and whispered to Do-hyun, "That's a lie." The records showed the human ship was dying. They had no real choice. The third unified representative, a scholar named Soo-hyun, addressed this point. The records show that the human ship was damaged beyond repair. The 3,000 humans aboard were facing certain death. The Velkari offered survival in exchange for service. When someone is drowning, and you offer them a rope with chains attached, can you truly call it a choice? The audience murmured. Many had read the records, but hearing it stated so plainly made the injustice clear. Kaylin raised her hand for silence. Let us say, for argument's sake, that the original arrangement was unjust. That was 5,000 years ago. Those humans are long dead. Their genetic line has been absorbed into the Velkari population. Why should we change our entire society because of ancient history? This was the moment Hyunwoo had been preparing for. He stepped forward with a data pad that Yuna had helped him prepare. Because the injustice continues, Hyunwoo said. He activated the pad, and holographic displays appeared around the chamber showing statistics and graphs. These numbers show the mortality rates of different castes. Servants die, on average, 300 years younger than nobles. We have less access to medical care, less access to nutrition, less access to education. Our children are born into the same caste we are, with no opportunity to rise. He changed the display. This shows innovation in the empire over the last 1,000 years. 30% of significant technological advances came from servants. Yet we receive no credit and no reward. We improve the Empire, and the Empire treats us as if we are invisible. Minsuk whispered to Do-hyun. He's doing well. Those statistics are damning. The fourth representative, a technician named Dae-hyun, added his voice. We are not asking to overthrow the Empire. We are not asking for nobles to become servants. We are asking for a chance to prove our worth individually, rather than being judged by the circumstances of our birth. We want education. We want the opportunity to advance based on our abilities. We want to be treated as people, not as tools. Torin leaned forward. And if we grant these things, what happens to our society? Who will clean the corridors? Who will maintain the systems? Who will do the work that keeps the Empire functioning? Bora smiled slightly. We will. But we will do it as paid workers with rights, not as servants with no choice. On Earth, they have a saying, all work has dignity when done by someone who chooses to do it. There is no shame in cleaning corridors or maintaining systems if it is your choice, and you are treated with respect. The fifth representative, a farmer named Jinseo who had remained quiet until now, finally spoke. He was older, his skin weathered by years of working in agricultural colonies. I have spent my life growing food that feeds the Empire. I am good at it. I take pride in it. But I have never been thanked. Never been paid fairly. Never been allowed to teach my knowledge to anyone outside my caste. My children will be farmers too, whether they want to be or not, whether they have talent for it or not. How is this good for the Empire? How is this efficient? This point seemed to reach some of the council members. The Velkari prized efficiency above almost everything else. Kaylin was quiet for a long time. Then she asked, what exactly are you proposing? Specifically, Hyunwoo took a breath. This was the critical moment. We propose a 5-part reform plan. First, abolish the hereditary caste system. Let each individual choose their path based on ability and interest. Second, provide universal education. Let all Velkari children learn together regardless of birth. Third, establish a wage system. Pay workers fairly for their labor. Fourth, create representation. Let servants, now workers, have a voice in government. And fifth, make these changes gradually over the next century so the Empire can adapt without chaos. The chamber erupted in noise. Nobles shouting in outrage, servants cheering, council members arguing among themselves. Ariel, who had been presiding silently, stood. Her presence commanded instant silence. This debate has shown me something, Ariel said. It has shown me that the unified representatives are not radical revolutionaries. They are not asking for the impossible. They are asking for what humans would consider basic rights. And in watching this debate, I have realized something painful. We Velkari have become stagnant. We have not changed in millions of years because we believed we had achieved perfection, but perfection does not ignore the suffering of its own people. She turned to the council. I will now share something that the humans taught me. Something I did not want to believe at first. She activated her own display, showing genetic analysis. This is a comparison of Velkari DNA from 3 million years ago to now. Notice the variation decreasing over time. Notice the genetic bottlenecks. We have been so focused on creating uniformity that we have nearly bred ourselves into extinction. Our population is declining. Our innovation is slowing. We are dying slowly because we fear change. Salmon, the human xenobiologist, had helped Ariel prepare this data. She watched from the observation area with satisfaction. The truth was hard but necessary. Ariel continued, now look at human DNA from their history. Another display appeared. See the variation? The diversity? This is why they survive. They adapt because they are diverse. They innovate because different perspectives create new solutions. By forcing uniformity, we have weakened ourselves. Kaylin studied the data carefully. You are saying that the caste system is not just unjust but actively harmful to the Empire's survival? I am saying exactly that, Ariel confirmed. Torin stood angrily. This is manipulation. The humans brought their poisonous ideas here and infected you with them. We should expel them immediately and return to our traditions. From the observation area, Woojin tensed, expecting trouble, but Ariel remained calm. The humans did not infect me with anything, Ariel said coldly. They showed me a mirror. They revealed truths I did not want to see. That is not manipulation. That is education. And if we are so weak that exposure to new ideas destroys us, then perhaps we deserve to fall. The chamber went silent at this. Ariel looked at each council member. I will now call for a vote. The Unified have presented their reform plan. It is ambitious but reasonable. I support it. Who among the council stands with me? For a long moment, no one moved. Then Kaelin stood. I am old, she said. I have seen the Empire's glory, and I have seen its slow decline. I did not understand the cause until today. I vote for reform. One by one, other council members stood. Some looked reluctant. Some looked relieved. When the count was finished, 7 of the 10 council members had voted for the reform plan. It was enough. The chamber erupted again, but this time with a different energy. Change was coming. Real change. But then the doors burst open. A group of nobles in battle armor entered, weapons drawn. At their head was a Velkari named Vrakas, one of the wealthiest nobles in the Empire. This vote is invalid, Vrakas declared. The council has been compromised by alien influence. I invoke the right of challenge. The right of challenge was an ancient law. It allowed any noble to challenge a council decision through combat. If the challenger won, the decision was nullified. Ariel stepped down from her platform. You challenge me? I challenge this entire farce, Vrakas said. I challenge the idea that servants can speak to nobles as equals. I challenge the corruption of our empire by these humans. And yes, I challenge you, Ariel. You have forgotten what it means to be Velkari. Ariel began to move toward Vrakas, but Dohyun stood from the observation area. Wait, he called out. Every head turned to look at him. The right of challenge allows for champions, doesn't it? Someone to fight on your behalf? Vrakas laughed. Bora stood in the center of the arena, watching Vrakas circle her like a predator. His armor gleamed with power, energy shields shimmering around him. Each step he took shook the floor. He carried a weapon that could kill her with a single shot. She had nothing but her knowledge and her determination. Last chance to surrender, Vrakas said. Kneel, admit your place, and I will make your death quick. Bora smiled. I've spent my entire life on my knees. I'm tired of that position. Vrakas roared and charged. He was fast for someone so large, his armor's servos giving him enhanced speed. But Bora had maintained suits like his for 20 years. She knew every system, every weakness, every vulnerability. She rolled to the side at the last second, and Vrakas's momentum carried him past her. As he passed, she reached out and touched a specific point on his leg armor. It looked random, but she knew exactly what she was doing. That point was where the armor's power conduits were most vulnerable. Vrakas spun and fired his weapon. Bora was already moving, diving behind a barrier. The energy blast melted the barrier's edge, missing her by inches. You can't hide forever, Vrakas shouted, firing again and again, but Bora wasn't hiding. She was observing. Each time Vrakas moved, she noted the pattern. Each time he fired, she watched how the armor compensated for the recoil. She was learning. In the observation area, Taejin watched with professional interest. She's studying his systems. Smart. Can she win? Minha asked. If she can find a weakness, Taejin said. But she needs to create an opening first. Bora sprinted across the arena, drawing Vrakas's fire. He shot at her repeatedly, but she moved unpredictably, rolling, sliding, never where he expected. His armor was powerful, but it made him slower to change direction. She was using that against him. Finally, she saw her chance. Vrakas fired his weapon, and for a split second, his shields diverted power from his back to maintain his front protection. Bora was already behind him. She jumped higher than should have been possible for someone without armor and grabbed onto his back. Get off me. Vrakas spun, trying to shake her loose, but Bora held on with surprising strength. Her fingers found the access panel she knew would be there. Every armor system had one for emergency maintenance. She pulled it open and reached inside, her hands moving with the precision of someone who had repaired these systems hundreds of times. What are you doing? Vrakas demanded, still trying to throw her off. Bora didn't answer. She disconnected 3 specific connections in a precise order. Suddenly, Vrakas's armor locked up. The servos froze. The shields dropped. He couldn't move. Impossible! Vrakas struggled against his own armor, but it had become his prison. Bora dropped to the ground and walked around to face him. Not impossible, just knowledge. I've fixed armor like yours my entire life. I know exactly how it works. and I know exactly how to stop it." She picked up his dropped weapon. It was heavy, designed for someone in powered armor. But she managed to lift it and point it at Vrakis's head. The arena was completely silent. "You have a choice now," Bora said quietly. "You can admit defeat and support the reforms, or I can pull this trigger and end this fight permanently." "What will it be?" Vrakis stared at her through his helmet's visor. For a long moment no one breathed. Then Vrakis spoke, his voice bitter. "I yield. You win." Bora lowered the weapon. "I didn't want to kill you. I just wanted you to understand. We're not helpless. We're not worthless. We've just never been given the chance to show what we can do." She dropped the weapon and walked away, leaving Vrakis trapped in his frozen armor. Engineers rushed forward to help him, but the message had been sent. The entire empire had watched a servant defeat a noble warrior, using nothing but knowledge and courage. Ariel stepped forward. "The challenge is resolved. The council's vote stands. The reforms will begin immediately." The chamber erupted in cheers from some and angry shouts from others. But the decision was made. The empire would change. Over the next several weeks, the transformation began. It was not easy. Many nobles resisted. Some servants were afraid of the changes, comfortable with the familiar even if it was unjust. But slowly, steadily, things shifted. The hereditary caste system was officially abolished. Children would now be educated together regardless of their parents' status. Wages were established for all workers. A new council was formed that included representatives from all levels of society. Hyunwoo became one of the first non-noble council members. Bora was offered a position training the Imperial Guard, teaching them that intelligence was as valuable as strength. Nari became the Empire's chief historian, tasked with uncovering other hidden truths. Through it all, the humans watched and advised when asked, but they were careful not to control. This was the Velkari's journey to make. One evening, Ariel invited Do-hyun to a private meeting in her quarters. The room was simpler than he expected, with fewer decorations and more books. "I wanted to thank you," Ariel said, pouring him a drink. It was a Velkari beverage that tasted like honey mixed with starlight. "For everything you've done." "I didn't do much," Do-hyun said. "Your people did the hard work. You did more than you know," Ariel said. "You refused to kneel. That one act changed everything. It made me question assumptions I had held for thousands of years. It made me ask, what if there is a better way?" She sat down across from him. "I have a request. Stay here, be our ambassador. Help us navigate these changes. We need your perspective." Do-hyun shook his head gently. "I can't. My mission is exploration, not governance. And honestly, Ariel, you don't need me. You have everything you need within your own people. You just have to trust them." "Then let some of your crew stay," Ariel suggested. "Not to lead, but to observe and advise." Do-hyun thought about this. "I'll ask for volunteers, but only if they want to stay." In the end, 3 humans chose to remain. Jiwoo wanted to help with cultural exchange and communication. Yuna wanted to study the integration of human and Velkari knowledge. And Yoonji wanted to document this historic transformation. The day came for the Horizon's Edge to depart. The entire crew gathered in the hangar bay where their ship had been kept. It looked small next to the massive Velkari vessels, but it was home. Hyunwoo and many others came to see them off. Some brought gifts, others brought thanks. All brought hope. "Where will you go?" Hyunwoo asked Do-hyun. "Deeper into unexplored space," Do-hyun said. "There's so much out there we haven't seen yet. So many species we haven't met." "Will you tell them about us?" Bora asked. "About what happened here?" "Yes," Do-hyun said. "But I'll tell them something else too. I'll tell them that change is possible. That even a civilization millions of years old can learn and grow. That's a message worth spreading." Ariel approached last. She looked different than when they first met. Less rigid, less certain, more human, in the best sense of the word. "I have something for you," she said, handing Do-hyun a data crystal. "This contains everything we know about this region of space. Star maps, species information, safe routes. Consider it a gift from the Velkari Empire to Earth, and a promise. A promise? Do-hyun asked. That we will be friends, Ariel said. Not subjects and masters, not superior and inferior. Just two species learning from each other, equals. She held out her hand, and Do-hyun shook it firmly. One more thing, Ariel said. She removed a piece of her armor, a small emblem that marked her rank. This is the symbol of a Velkari commander. I want you to have it. Not as a trophy, but as a reminder. A reminder of what? Do-hyun asked. That the bravest thing anyone can do is stand up when everyone else is kneeling, Ariel said. You taught me that. I will not forget it. Do-hyun accepted the emblem. It was surprisingly light for something so meaningful. The crew boarded their ship. Engines powered up. The hangar bay doors opened to reveal the stars beyond. As the horizon's edge pulled away from the eternal dawn, Do-hyun stood on the bridge and looked back at the massive Velkari flagship. He thought about everything that had happened. The confrontation, the trial, the debate, the fight. All of it started because he refused to kneel. Captain, Minha said from her station. Where to? Do-hyun smiled. Forward. Always forward. The Roy ship engaged its faster-than-light drive, and the eternal dawn disappeared behind them. But the connection remained. Earth and the Velkari Empire had found each other, and both were better for it. Jun-ho looked up from his controls. Do you think we'll find more species like the Velkari? Ancient empires with their own problems? Probably, Do-hyun said. The galaxy is huge. There must be thousands of civilizations out there. And we'll help them too? Taijin asked. If they want help, Do-hyun said. But we won't force it. We'll just be ourselves. Be honest. Be brave. Stand for what's right. Sometimes that's all it takes to change the world. Or in this case, an empire. Sujin smiled. You make it sound simple. It's not simple at all, Do-hyun admitted. It's terrifying. Every time I refused to kneel, I thought Ariel might kill me. Every decision could have gone wrong. But some things are worth the fear. Like what? Minha asked. Like dignity, Do-hyun said. Like equality. Like the idea that all intelligent beings deserve respect, not because of what they are, but because of who they are. That's worth fighting for, that's worth the risk. The crew was quiet for a moment, thinking about his words.